yellow and reds. I do not understand, he says. I totally do not understand.
In this Zoom meeting, you could turn off your camera.
Well, I use it for the other, but I just did, and yeah, so far, so good. Scary. Alright, so that means I have to change my setup. Hey guys, if you're here already, hey King! It's back online, hopefully. I went off and on again, King, because I'm trying to fix something, and I think I fixed it. And now all I gotta do is fix my image here. So, let me rename this to Tiberian64. And then let's see if I can change that all together. So I need to, let's see, my camera, close that one down, and let's see if I can turn on the webcam. And yeah, okay, well, I think we fixed it, Giancarlo. I might have to do that more in the future. Who knew?
Alright, nice.
Yeah, it'll get us there, right? That seems to keep us green. So if I just use my webcam and only pull your picture, we're green. Alright guys, so King, we had to keep on going back and forth. What is ChezzWizard's age? He's a teenager. And yes, King, you are the first chatter. We're going to be doing a one-on-one lesson, which you definitely can talk and then participate, but we are going to do a one-on-one lesson. I'm trying to catch up on my one-on-one lessons, so instead of going over the games from the tournament, we're going to go ahead and do a one-on-one lesson. And of course, that means we're going to need a challenger for our intrepid student, ChezzWizard, today. So if you want to be that challenger, you hopefully can get that in. All right, let's get right to work. My normal process, which we're going to try again today, I like it. It seems to work more times than it doesn't, is to review games that you played, ChezzWizard, and we're going to talk about, you know, how well you played and how well you did, and we're going to look for one or two things to focus on. And where that comes into play a lot of times is this. This list I've developed of right now, it keeps growing. I think we're up to 40. We're up to 39 principles. We're up to 39 principles or concepts. Hey, Jode. How's it going, Jody? So with these 39 principles or concepts, I want to try to find ones that you need help on. And even if you understand the principle concept, which I think you understand a lot of these, ChezzWizard, but are you able to apply them? And if you're not applying them, then we want to figure out how to get you to apply them. And that's a person by person issue. I mean, we could say do puzzles, we could say do, you know, different tactics, but we need to find the thing that'll click for you so that you use them. So like my brother made a little cheat card that says check captures attacks and threats. And he has it up by his computer so that he tries to look at it every move. And of course he forgets. And he still doesn't do it. But, you know, so there's tricks that you can use. Yeah, we're doing a one-on-one lesson today, Jody. Can you do me in the list? I would love to put you in this list, Jody. And King too. But right now we're going to try ChezzWizard, see where he fits in the list, and see what he needs next. But yeah, ChezzWizard's rating on chess.com, I have no idea. Do you play on chess.com?
Not very much. Mostly light chess.
Yeah, he's mostly on Lee Chess. And his rating there is 1702 rapid. So he's doing pretty good. I don't know what that might be like 1450 or something in chess.com. I don't know. All right, let's go over your games. We're going to go over your game against Pawn Eater 2020, and it was a game from yesterday. We had a team battle, big team battle. You were the #1 player for your team, I believe, and you guys did pretty well. You were in first place for a while. I was quite proud of you guys. You did really well.
Thank you.
Alrighty, let's go through this game. So you are black in this game. And we have a very standard opening. We have a Yoko piano. And so far so good. You're developing your pieces. He's developing his pieces, right? This is all good. Oh, and as you know, Chess, I know you know, so I forget to tell you, but I'll say it so everyone else understands. You can move pieces also. You could draw arrows also, and I'll see what you draw, which is one of the powers of Lichess studies, that we both can mark and move pieces. So if you have questions, if I have questions, if I say, what do you think the next move should be? You could draw arrows. You can actually move the piece.
Right.
All right? All right. Interesting. King says that knight to c3 for white is considered bad. Okay. I don't know why. It's a developing move. Maybe there's a tactic that I don't know about. All right. So continuing development. Put the question to the bishop, and then you do the same. And this time, but you take the trade, right? You take on the trade instead. Attack the queen. Queen goes back. Okay. All pretty standard. Pretty standard development. And now, this is a question for you. So, rather than back up, right? And you didn't back up here either. You traded. You're trading both your bishops for both your opponent's knights. So, it's not a bad thing in per se, but in general, especially as you get stronger, the masters, the IMs and grandmasters prefer bishops over knights. But at the lower levels, I can definitely see where knights are very tricky and annoying and maybe better than bishops in that sense. But just understand you're giving them up. Now, the other thing I'd say is by giving them up, in both cases, by the way, in both cases, if you had backed up instead, they would have had to incur or self-inflict themselves with a poor pawn position where their pawns are overextended, and in this case, the king would have no place to castle.
Yes, and usually I do try to do that, except for this time I was just trying to simplify, pretty much.
Why?
Because I thought that I could double up his pawns and have a better. I don't remember exactly what I was thinking at the time, but I assume I just thought that I would have the knights attacking the center and the better pawn structure.
Okay. Okay. So it isn't because you thought you were better at endgames than him.
No, I think he's pretty good.
Okay. All right. So in this case, what I would look at is while you doubled the pawns, it doubled towards the center. And the center is a great place, right? We want to control the center. We want to attack the center. And I know you and I, we haven't spent a lot of time on center control, but it is a factor that we want to usually try to keep in mind and deal with. So this actually helps him get that pawn towards the center. He's not going to have a double pawn for long, most likely. But also with every double pawn we know, we get in that box of Cracker Jacks, we also get a semi-open file. So just for your considerations is, I've lost both bishops, and now I have this semi-open file to deal with. Just, again, as long as you're okay with these things, that's fine. So here he immediately attacks the center and says, let me get, if you take, he's going to take back, and he's going to have that solid two-pawn center, and you won't. Right?
He gives up a pawn because if I push the bishop away.
Exactly. You have to push the bishop away to get to that pawn. Yep, totally agree. But I'm just showing that, he's trying to get to the center early. But yes, you're right. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you did this first to push him away. And you did. As you know, I don't look ahead. So you pushed it away, and so now this pawn falls, and you could be attacking here and threatening to trade off the bishop. So you did. So now you won a pawn, right? So this is nice. Which just tells you that your opponent prematurely pushed, right? He needed to maybe castle first, get the rook over here, and then, he had time. There was no rush to get rid of this double pawn. But again, it makes you look pretty good because what you wanted came true. All right, so this time, here again, you have to decide, do I want to take? But he has two pieces here, right? And you have two. So, I don't know. Did you need to take? Could you back up?
Well, then I kind of I lock that F pawn down, and I see the bishop's already going for that F pawn, and then the queen could line up, and I could get a little bit.
Okay, so you're worried about all that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now here, though, you definitely help him, because now he undoubles his pawns.
Correct.
Okay, and if you let him take first, you take back with the knight, you're fine. Are you planning the castle? See, because now you see where we're ending up with. And sometimes it's much easier, right? Hindsight is so much easier. Hey, Ramirez. So this is so much easier to see that, oh, we're going to have weaknesses now because we've given them the semi-open file. Where am I going to castle? I've opened this up. Where am I going to castle? And we're down to very few pieces left. But still, castling may be useful. And if not, we still want to make sure we defend the king properly. So the question is, do you take or do you try to get him to take? Do you let him take? So you centralize your knight. You know, these would be things for you to consider. But we take and we win another pawn. That's always nice. Winning pawns is a good thing. Okay. Looks like another pawn. Looks like you have pawns all day. So.
Well, if I took it first, I think you just take my queen and get my king in the open.
Yeah.
That happened anyway.
But now what does he do?
I would.
I mean, he's got to move. He's still got to move the rook. He doesn't have a check.
I move rook to a2.
Really? Okay. Only thing I don't like about that is disconnecting your rooks, but that's okay. You can probably get them reconnected pretty quick, right?
Right. Yeah.
Depending on where you probably want to try to hold on to the pawn. But yeah, okay. So you took, and now he has an isolated pawn, but he has two hitting you, and
yeah,
your knight.
I didn't see that when I
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, so realizing that when you take here, you're going to end up with this pawn attacking your knight, and the rook will be freed. So interesting. Okay. So I'm trying to see what things we might be able to work on together. Whoa, yeah. That was just a flat out miss on your part. Yeah, which was he did well. So now he's threatening to come here. If you take, which you pretty much have to because you just gave away your piece for that trade, he gets to have two pieces on the rook, the X-ray attack. That was very nice. Yeah, I when I looked at this, I was like, that doesn't feel good. Something felt wrong. And I was first trying to see could he move the bishop with effect, like maybe here and attack there. But obviously, no. This is much better.
I was trapped though because I can't take that pawn on e3 with the knight because then the rook pins it to the king.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely, and you're way too far away to have a pawn support you. So your knight's out here pretty far, and so this is one of those times when the bishop is much better than the knight, as in the knight gets just a nice tactic, wins the extra piece. Okay, and I think that was probably your biggest problem, but then you gave away another one, right? Did you have any choice here either? I mean, even if you come up here, you can't protect the knight because look at that. Both squares are taken away by pawns.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Like I told you, endgames are beautiful. Chess is beautiful. So yeah, this square turns out where it looks like it's a good square to go to. It's too far away from your king to support, so that your king can get supported. So here it looks like you have to go this way.
Yeah, I didn't see all the way that far ahead to see that.
I totally don't blame you. Hey, Flavio! Hello, hello. Happy to see you. And Flavio says hi to you, ChezzWizard.
Oh, hello to you too.
All right, so King, I think, brought up the question that knight to c3 was considered bad way back here. But again, one of the reasons that King, while it might be bad, and we can look at opening, and ChezzWizard could do that on his own. I'm looking for things that lose the game for him, and where can he improve, and what concepts and principles will help him. And so that wasn't even his issue, right? His issue was back here. He missed this tactic that's coming. He missed the tactic that came along with the, which is a hard one to see, that this is threatening this, and then you get the X-ray attack through. And other than that, I didn't like the fact that your king's stuck in the middle of the board, right? That's just not comfortable. I don't like that. And so where you had said you didn't want to, remember before, you didn't want to keep the knight back here because you were worried about this, but that still came to fruition, and the difference is that he just doesn't have this bishop, which wasn't really a threat. He still has the bishop that is a threat, and the knight that you have isn't working out for you. So I still think that perhaps trading that knight for the bishop was maybe not necessary, or maybe not just the right move. I'd even almost see you going with this, just to open up the, be more aggressively opening up the position. And now you definitely have to castle over here or stay in the middle. But you got a lot of issues still coming. I mean, you still got issues, right? A lot of issues. Yeah, and it's just, mostly it's that you have no king safety in this game. I felt like that's probably what was your downfall. While you could say other things may have been the problem, it looks to me it's like just king safety became your major issue. Even here, it's still king safety. So it's not always about castling. You don't always have to castle to have or keep king safety, but you have to be aware of your king's position. All right, so not your greatest game, but we did notice that you missed the fact that when he took back with the pawn, how the position changed. So how the position changed is one thing. The tactic I'm not going to worry about. You're pretty good at tactics. I think that you just missed that one. But mostly I think you missed the fact that you were going to have this attack with the bishop and the rook when that pawn took back after you took. All right, let's go scroll on to the next one. All right, chess. You played Lemurf, and this one came out to a draw. All right, and Lemurf is rated 1487. You're rated 1683, so he's lower rated than you. Oh, and you did this move early, so you were very aggressive.
Yeah,
and
I didn't think that Lemurf knew the opening, and it's been a while since I tried it, so I just felt like playing it.
Oh, is this your Jerome Gambit?
Yes, the Jerome's Gambit.
All right, yeah, I've never been over. Oh, okay, yeah, I remember this one now. Yes. I've never been overly excited about this gambit. I don't remember. Oh, I think it was because if they just played logical moves. I love gambits like the Stafford Gambit, where if you play logical or what looks like natural moves, right? Rosen calls them natural moves. When you make natural moves and they're bad, I love those gambits, right? If you make a natural move and it turns out to be a bad thing. But in this one, it seemed like you can make natural moves and do well. So that was the thing for me that I wasn't crazy about this opening. Per your, like England, I liked a lot more. So here, Murph probably had an opportunity just to trade off. You take back, and then he pushes the pawn. But nothing wrong with pushing the pawn first, and he lets you castle before. Okay, so it's basically transposed into it. So let's see where you're at after all of that. You have all your pawns. You're up 2 pawns, but you're down a piece. So you're down 1 point. 1 point. But you're still early in the middle game, so yeah, it doesn't seem to be worth a piece down for 2 pawns. But
he does have an open king and cannot castle.
Yes.
That rook's going to be there for a while.
Yes. So you have to quickly find ways to get to him, right? So now your thinking process has to be, can I escalate taking advantage of the king? Because if I don't take advantage of the king's openness fast enough, he's going to develop the bishop, he's going to get the rooks connected by stepping his king up, and your advantage of the fact that his king is open will be lost, and then you're just down a point, right? And the 2 pieces, a lot of times you end up being down more than a point. Okay. So you, of course, don't want to trade pieces right now. You'd prefer, and he's doing the same thing, right? He's what we just said. He's developing and trying to stay on top of everything. Looked like free candy. What happened?
I moved my king out of the way, seeing the pin later on, and I did not. I saw it right after I moved.
Yeah, you kind of like thought, oh, I got to get my king get my king out of the pin, and just missed the fact that how the situation changed. So I think so. Now this is twice, 2 games in a row. I'm thinking you're not assessing how the situation changed as your first thought process. So not only do I want you to think about how the position changes, but I think I wanted it to be like the first thing you do. I'm thinking. Flavio, is everything good with you in the world? I'm sorry I can't talk as much, guys, because as you know, we are working through we're working through a lesson. So he traded off one of the pawns, and you have a nice centralized bishop, but let's see. He centralizes the knight. You chase him, and he starts going on a journey probably with that knight. You probably could have kept chasing him around, but yeah, I can see. And there's no pawns to attack you. It's a beautiful outpost that you don't have to worry about being shoved away. But dropped a pawn. Oh, okay. Just missed that the pawn was free? I mean, you could have protected it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think I just missed it.
You could have also chased the knight, but the knight does have this square to go to, threatening the bishop.
Yes. Yeah.
And you could have also done this to the bishop. Bishop would have to move. Where's he going to go? Because yes, you gave back this square, but meantime, I guess he could just take. He could have taken.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this is an issue. I mean, you could try to protect it that way. Interesting. So.
Wait, if he pushes, why can't the bishop just go to a5?
Okay, which one now?
When I pushed the pawn to c5, wasn't the bishop go to a5, right?
Yeah, but
Escapes.
Should he? Is there a reason? I mean,
Instead of
that takes
the
away
bishop for 2 pawns.
No. He gets the knight back. He gets the piece back.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I thought it was white.
Yeah, he actually wins the pawn.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, taking wins the pawn. Running away isn't as good, because then you can probably just develop your knight, because you took away one of the attack. He's trying to get rid of it. We're trying to get rid of an attacker, and that doesn't work because you could just take because of the discovered attack on your knight. Right. So what's interesting in this concept is coordination of pieces, right? Because you only have 2, and he has 3. And your rooks are like your other next best pieces you have, and they're stuck behind pawns still. And you have this knight that's undefended. Granted, he's not under attack yet, but alignment issues. Now, we focus on alignment with kings and queens because they're so valuable, but here's an alignment issue to a knight that's not protected, it's undefended, and if we could get that pawn to move, you would be in trouble. So, very interesting. So you expand, and I can see, you're looking at alignment also. But he gets the pawn, and, okay, we continue on. So right now, so he just falls for a fork, unfortunately for him. Huh?
Yeah.
Yep, that's bad on his part. He couldn't do this, could he? No, because the check would win.
I did that knight move thinking he would do he would take the pawn, and then I get the
discovered check and win the rook. Yeah, you would have won the rook. Well, actually, it still probably would have been a trade because whichever way you went, he probably would have went. Well, he couldn't go towards this way. So yeah, if you had went that way, no, the rook would have still been there, right? So he could have come straight up, and then if you take, he takes. Chances are you might be able to still win that one later, but yeah. So it's still going to be an exchange. But he would have actually been up a pawn, but he didn't have to do any of that. He could have just backed this guy back up. Like say, hey, I don't know where it's safe, but I know that's safe. That's far enough away. I should be safe. But instead, he made a mistake. Yep. So now he has 2 pieces for the rook. He's still winning, but you have much better chances. I think that was an error on his part.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, that starts squeezing you pretty well. Not a loss, but it could be annoying.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
I mean, he might even be able to get this move in.
I thought I could just bring my other rook over.
Nah, that doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't
Anyway.
matter. And he's got these aligned now, so a rook here would be annoying to him. I was thinking, can he get a check in? But even if he does, you have a discovered check. But yeah, I'm not crazy about your king here. I don't know if it's a great square. I think maybe just back out so you can bring the knight back here. I don't know. Anyway, interesting. But yeah, here I didn't know what he was attacking from there.
And he didn't take the free candy on A2
Yes.
with his rook.
Well, when you just take his knight.
Sorry. The rook's protecting the knight. Yeah.
Yep. So here, yeah, letting you take or taking himself. Don't know which one is, and you can't take with the rook because the bishop's on it still. So the bishop goes to one of the squares it could have went to. Could have went this way, maybe control more squares. But okay, and then he ends up back there anyway. So again, it's like, where do I go? I'm seeing things like better squares for black, but black's a lower rated player. We understand that. He's going to rearrange his pieces nicely, and you didn't go for the. Go ahead.
This was a mistake because I think I was so focused on trading at this point because I thought I could get my pawns to the end.
Okay.
And I did not see that knight move. Again, I didn't assess the situation. I think I didn't see what his piece could do, and I just thought about what I could do. I didn't.
Okay.
See it. Yeah.
Well, and what happens if you take the rook? Because you were trying to get a rook for rook trade, right?
Right.
So
Okay. Yeah. Did I do that? I think so, right?
Yeah, he took here. You took the knight.
Oh. Yeah, that was a mistake for me.
Yeah.
Maybe in the game I did see that he does take the rook because I don't remember what I was thinking at the time, but.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I would have thought you would have just taken the rook. I still don't think it's great for you. To be honest, I don't like it for you. I mean, he could take this pawn right away, I think. Maybe, yeah, I think he can. I don't see it as a winning play for you. And I actually didn't mind, from his point of view, I didn't even mind this for him. I thought this was still good for him too. He still has 2 pieces versus a rook. Granted, it is a rook, right? So rooks are nice, but I don't know. Interesting game. But yeah, so you took back with the pawn, and he did take yours. Oh, and this pretty much did happen this way. Yeah, I don't know why he keeps chasing you. Oh, he gave you a draw here. Okay. Yeah. I would have given you that. Personally, I would have given you that pawn. I would have, especially when you're trapped back here. I would have been, okay, I'll take this one, you'll take that one, and then I'm going to see if I can checkmate you, I think, because I'm going to start bringing my king down here, and your king is trapped on the last file. So this, again, right, different levels of play. I need to work with, this would be a good game for me to also go with Murph to go over, because he had you in a, what we would call a negative, what I would call a negative position, and he should have tried to capitalize on your negative position by bringing his king in. He could probably win that pawn while he's threatening mates, and your rook would have to, try to stop him. And in the end, if he gets rid of this pawn, even if he trades off rooks, he's got a bishop against nothing, because you took the right piece that time. Interesting. All right, so let's go over one more game. Oh, actually, I was going to show you a win you did. And you won against a strong player. So 1968. You were much lower rated than Ratchet. So let's check it out. I don't see Ratchet. I don't think Ratchet's here right now. No, I don't think so. All right. Remember, guys, I am going to need an opponent for ChezzWizard in a few moments. So he went for the center counter trap trick, right, that we know about. Did you? Oh, okay. I was wondering if you would go...
I was going to take the F7 pawn, but I decided not to.
Oh, okay. Okay, chickened out of it? Okay, so we get the center counter, but no big deal, right? I mean, you're just still playing solid. Ooh, interesting choice. You could have went there, get traded off, though, probably. Okay. Wow, look at this mess. Look at this mess. I think he's going to castle queenside. What do you think? Oh, no. A fork? A fork?
I was a few moves ago. I was avoiding it, thinking that I could attack the bishop.
Okay.
Like
but then he gets to take.
Yeah, I didn't see him taking and then getting a fork.
Yeah, the piece that you attack. So obviously, here or here would be better, or even here. And you could come here and protect the knight. And you'd be good too. Now your bishop is trapped though, because of this move.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that either. So now you're down to here or here. Here's kind of a tempo game because the queen is under attack. So chances are he would trade, and then you would no longer at least have that issue. But yeah, this was interesting. So, all right. So you grab 2 pawns for it. So did you end up with 3? No, 2. You're ahead 2 pawns. All right. So you're down 1 point again, a lot like you were in the other game, where you have 2 pieces for the pawn. And you're trading pieces, which normally the answer would be don't do that, right? And you're still trading pieces. Wow. Okay, so now that you've traded all those pieces, you've definitely got to find a way to make a passed pawn. You have 2 potentials, and you got to make that passed pawn like worth all that it can be because...
I was actually thinking to trade rooks. I was really, really hoping to trade rooks. Like right here.
Right, because now you have 2 pawns against the knight. And if you trade off all your pawns, you'd have 2 pawns versus a knight. You have the only winning chances.
Correct.
Yep. I like your thinking. I like your thinking, Lincoln. And in general, you'd say, hey, I'm going to trade off because I have the advantage of the piece. But yeah, Black probably shouldn't have traded off all of his rooks, keep at least one of them maybe, chess 2 until he can get a bigger advantage, like get rid of your potential passers.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, King. All right. I was just wondering, Ratchet's usually here, so. Now it's tough because you got to make sure, but knights, you're doing very nice prophylactics. The knight didn't have any good squares, and now the knight has these squares and that square, right? So where's the knight going to go later? We don't know yet. And, ooh, chose to... So here's where you might decide, well, I'm going to go forward and create that passed pawn first. But, like, as you know, if you could trade them all off, you're still okay, right? Because the knight can't win. You're almost assured at least a draw, right? Oh, look at this. Nice. All right, so we get a fork, but you get a pawn. He gets a pawn. You're going to end up with more pawns than your opponent. Yep, you get all of his pawns. So now he has no chance to win. And you've gotten this position. We should go over this game later another time for endgame because he allowed you to get into a position. His king is not too far away, but his king is further away than you might want. And you have exactly what we said when you traded off the rooks, what you wanted. You wanted to get down to 2 pawns versus a knight. You have all the chances to win. He has no chances to win.
Yes.
Yeah. Just the fact that you were able to get to the situation that you envisioned, which is 2 pawns versus a knight, we got to give you props because that's pretty awesome. I don't know what to tell you. I'm impressed that you made it there. King, the pawn had to go because it was under attack.
Yes.
and you know enough to get your king involved, and so you bring it up. A great king, I totally agree. All right, he's getting his king involved. Now you're chasing, and now you got. Now you tell me, how can black force a draw right now?
He could take the pawn on c4, I think.
Yes, good endgame. This is why I love teaching you guys endgames, because black your move actually gave him a draw. So you shouldn't push the pawn if you're trying not to get a draw. You should have pushed this one, right?
Right, but then I thought he could get like he could get his knight further up. I wanted to keep his knight guarding both of the pawns. I thought he could get to like d3 and then get the king in front and then get the knight in front of me.
Yeah, but you know this is a draw.
Yes, that is true.
I mean, unless I'm missing something, I don't care what you do. This is a draw, right? Because I'm going to get to the corner. Okay, so if you know that's a forced draw, you know this is a forced draw, I think you have to try something else. And I don't think you can allow him to take it at all. So even here, when he goes here, yeah, so you do have a chance, right? Because that was his last move. I think you have to push.
Right.
And if he comes after your pawn, I think you have to push. Now he comes after your pawn. Now maybe you're... See, now if he takes and you take, you have the opposition. And you could keep his king out, and you might be able to pawn queen.
Yeah. And after this, I want to go over, I think, just that move before and see if the computer says it's a draw.
Yeah, which move? This move or this move?
If I push the pawn forward to c5.
Yeah, is this still a forced draw? You're saying that's what you want to figure out?
0.0, it's a complete draw.
Yeah, I believe it. But again, we're discussing which one gives you a chance to win.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't push the pawn, then I think it's an easy draw because he takes and then his king walks over.
Right. If I do push, it's a draw too, I think.
I'm not saying with best play it's not.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying which one is easier. So if you're looking at it from white and you say, this is a draw, right? If we were like an IM or GM, they would look at this like 3 moves ago and said, it's a draw now. They might have even said, shouldn't you trade it off the rooks? They might have said, it's a draw. But that doesn't mean it's going to be one, right? Because we make mistakes. So at this point, my point to you is, you know, knight takes, king goes to the corner. You know it's a draw. You know that. You don't know if this is a draw. You had to check with the computer. And even if you check with the computer, you don't know how black makes it a draw. You don't know how black can force a draw, right? So this gives you a chance, is my point, versus the other one, if black knew his endgames, and black again doesn't have to know that, you push here, I'm still going to somehow draw. Black knows that, black should just know I could take here and it's a draw. And since black has no chance to win at all, impossible, then black should have jumped on the draw. But black doesn't know endgames well enough. And guess what? Black still can take that pawn and get a draw. And now finally you push, right? So back here, black can still take right now and get a draw. So he's got multiple chances to get a draw, and he didn't take any of them. All right, so you push now, and he pushes the king again. Interesting. So he didn't know how to play this endgame at all. He gave you a queen. So this is exactly the point I was making, right? That if he doesn't know what he's doing, you can win. And I would have hoped that he knew that he should have just taken. So it's very interesting to me that Ratchet, 1968. And you've heard me say this before. 1800s don't know basic endgames.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. By this, I'd say from right here, I'd say that right here, I would say that you're 16. You're 1681. I asked you, how does black draw easily, and you knew.
Yeah.
But the 1960. But why doesn't the 1968 know how to draw easily?
Because he didn't have you as a teacher, probably.
Oh, good answer, good answer. And by the way, he had twice as much time as you.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting. All right, so you're going to have to look at the stream for a second. I want you to look at this and tell me, let's go through this. And you're 1600 plus, so let's go through them. You know all the rules. I know you know all the rules. You know what en passant is. You know how to cast. You know when not to cast. You know the rules. And in fact, I'm going to bet that everyone knows the rules. Maybe even under 1500 would know the rules. Okay. I feel like you gave away no free candy. Right? Now, you did do the rook. Or was this the game where you gave away the rook, where you took the wrong piece? You took the knight instead of taking the rook? No, right? That was a different game.
No. That was the other game.
That was the Lemurf game. I don't think you give away any free candy anymore, do you?
It depends on if I'm distracted or if I'm not taking the game seriously.
Yeah, but if you're taking the game seriously, I think you're pretty good at not giving away free candy. Okay. I would imagine also, I'm comparing you at 15 plus, by the way, so I would imagine that you should meet all of the criteria that 15 plus met, but we'll see. Hello again, Jody. You're back, Jody. So, all right, how about piece, you know the piece values. By the way, I always like to ask, what do you consider the queen?
9.
Okay. So you'd rather have 2 rooks than the queen?
Depends the rating of player that I'm playing. If
So
it's a low-rated player, then I'll take 2 rooks. If it's a high-rated player, I might not take. I don't know. I haven't gotten the situation.
So that's interesting because the reason that the values matter, right, is to know. So another way to look at it is, would you rather have a queen? Would you rather have a bishop, a bishop and 2 knights? Or 2 bishops and a knight? Because 2 bishops and a knight, we would agree, are 9, right? Or maybe 10. And that's because if you make the bishops 3.5, that should be equal to your 9 for your queen.
Right.
Or would you rather have the queen?
It would depend on the position because
Yep.
if the pieces are far away, the queen can probably easily check the king and win one of the pieces.
Yep. Oh, it always depends on the situation, but yeah. So that's one of the reasons why for beginners, I usually go with giving queen 10 versus 9 because I don't care what everybody else says. As a beginner, I feel like we get into more trouble if we're trying to keep the if we give away the queen for 2 rooks. They don't know how to play with 2 rooks. I don't know how many times I've seen people disconnect their rooks. They don't work together. They don't use them in tandem. So, King says he thinks piece value is an advanced concept because points is just numbers. The activity matters. Okay, I'll buy that. All right. I think you did. Every game, I'd never mentioned that you weren't developing. Right. So I'm going to give you a yes for develop. Basic checkmates. I feel you're very confident in basic checkmates. King safety. We did see some issues where you maybe didn't get your king to safety in time, but I think that happens to everybody in the heat of battle. Sometimes we're too busy attacking and we forget our own king. I don't think it's a systemic problem with you. I think it's just it happened once in those 3 games we looked at, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, how to respond is where when your opponent makes a move, you have to think about, and this would show in the 2 times that we saw that the position changed and we didn't notice, right? Or we didn't pay attention to how the position changed. Oh, that's actually, I have it over here. How the board changed. So it's part of the analyze the position also. These 2 to me go hand in hand. How to respond, and you know that you can interpose a piece, you could take the piece that's attacking you, you can run away, you can attack something of greater value, and you can also defend the piece. And if the piece is being attacked by a pawn, and the piece is not a pawn, and so if the piece is being attacked by a pawn, protecting it is usually not the right answer because you're going to lose value, right? You're going to lose the exchange.
Right.
Okay, and then do you know which one I preach is the most often the correct move out of those 5 choices?
Uh, take the piece, right?
Yeah, yeah, that would be my most of the time. Doesn't mean all the time for sure. And what's the one that's the least often correct, but when it is correct, it's a killer?
Attack something of greater value.
Yes. Okay, so you know those things now. How well do you apply them?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I apply them very well.
You think so? Okay, because it's either a yes that you apply them well, or a dash if you don't know if you apply that thinking. Remember, we're talking about applying the thinking.
I would say yes. I know when to attack.
Okay.
And,
Because I mean, I don't know where it falls into. I think it was just a blunder when you took the knight instead of taking the rook, right? But that would be one of those where you could say, hey, he just took a piece. Don't react to the take. Look and see if there's something better, but we reacted to the take. Okay, so I'll give you a yes on that one. How about analyzing the position? And this is where I think we just saw that we want you to work on. When your opponent moved, the first part of analyze, by the way, if I'm using Gotham's chesses, he says check, captures, attacks, and threats. And I say threats is actually part of how did the board change, so that you know if there's a threat that your opponent just created for you. And that should be your first thought. But I want you to take it further. I don't want you to just look at the attack as a threat. I want you to see how the board changed. So I don't know if this was the right game we should look at. Let's go back to, oops, was it this game? Yeah, I think it was this one. Maybe not. Okay, let's do this one right here. You in the study with me?
yes.
All right, so when you moved your knight, right, you need to see, so it goes both ways. One is he moved the pawn, so he attacked you. And then you have to decide, what do I do when I'm attacked? Right? All those things play. But you also have to look at how did the board change? Well, you took away, you lost a defender. This was you. You were attacking, right? Duh. So you moved a defender away from this pawn, right? So right now he moved, so let's do his move last. So he moved to the center, attacking the pawn. You have those 5 choices to make. But along with those 5 choices is an understanding of how the board changed. His knight went from here, which was attacking these squares, right?
Right.
So now his knight is here, and now his knight is attacking these squares. Knight's always... Sorry?
No, continue. I was just thinking of different moves.
Okay. So knights always attack the square they came from, but now the way the board changed was that his knight is now attacking different squares, and the squares he was attacking are no longer being attacked. You need to consider both things. Because from here, you got to say, was there anything, I wanted to put maybe I wanted to put my knight here in the past, but I couldn't put it there because he could take it, right? So right now, these squares are attacked by the knight. He moves. Now, these squares are no longer attacked, but these squares are. Oh, sorry.
And knight to e4 would protect the pawn.
So that could protect the pawn at the same time, because the square is now free, right? You could center. Don't know if it works because he can attack the knight, and he's attacking your defender, and so now you have to but then you could probably go here, check, and you blah, 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 blah. We can go on and on and on. But yes, the point is that square is now available. It was not available before. I want you to be able to see that square is now available. And you need to see that he's attacking your pawn, which you did see. And then that's level 1. Level 2, which is analyzing even deeper, which I have on the list, but it's at the bottom because I don't know where it's going to go yet. Analyzing 2 or 3 moves deep. So what we're talking about here is just the first level of analysis, just to say how did the board change? And to me, that's critical that we don't do. How did the board change? So then you could decide, well, I think I'll just protect the pawn. Right? By the way, here you might also notice this alignment. And you'd say, well, my pawn's in the way, and this pawn's in the way. And now that the knight goes here, now the knight is in the way also, because this knight, you still have to remember, this knight is not protected. So again, now you might be considering, hey, I could do things like this. And from here, if the bishop comes after me, I can go here, check, I can go here, check. I have a move with check that I can make, and then I can still come back and worry about protecting the pawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that the bishop attacks g7, so I think the check on g5 would be better, just adding more pieces onto this king side.
Okay. And totally up to you, right? I mean, you have those options. And the knight here, by the way, checks and attacks an unprotected pawn.
Yeah, but I think it gets trapped. Or, wait.
Yes, King, that would be deep analysis. That would be deep analysis. Yeah, so, okay. So I think what I want you to work on most right now is I want you to fully understand how the board changes. To me, that's part of analyzing just the first move, right? Is how did the board change is that's just a basic first move look at analysis. It's not even 2 or 3 moves deep. Make sense?
Yes.
And I think you understand it, correct?
Yeah, I understand.
And you already did understand that? You didn't need me to... My explaining how the board changed, you understood. Because I know we've covered.
Yeah, I understand, but applying it is
Okay.
Key.
So I could go down the basic endgames, and I would say you understand basic endgames because we've studied it. But at the end of that game, right, at the end of that game, you still made a move that to me gave him an automatic draw. Even if he doesn't know what he's doing, even if he doesn't know endgames, all he has to do is say, I only have one knight. I can't stop both. I'm going to give away my knight, and I'll see if I can draw with my king and pawn. And for whatever reason, he didn't know that. It seems like he doesn't know that a king in the corner stops a rook pawn, regardless of anything else, right? If I can get my king to the corner. So all he had to do is count. All he had to do is go here, take, and then count. Can I get my king to the corner before your king can stop me? Right? So, yeah, I would think he would know that one. So he's a 1968, and I don't think I wouldn't give him basic endgames. I think you might be an anomaly that you know endgames better, but I still don't think you applied it because your only real chance was to hope he makes a mistake, which he did later. But, you know, I'm surprised that now if he had taken this one, you'd be happy too. You might still get a win if he takes that one, especially if he doesn't understand endgames because he took the wrong pawn. Chances are he won't understand opposition either.
I go with draw, right?
Yeah, should it have been a forced draw? Yeah, because, right, he just has to keep you... Now you can't get your king in front.
Right.
Right, so this should be a forced draw. But does he understand opposition? Like, where do you go here now? You're black, where do you go?
Right here, right?
Yeah, but then he gets the opposition and he wins.
Yeah.
So, is it a draw? I don't know. Again, he doesn't even need... He needs to chess... I mean, if he could get here, it would be great. Or if he can get...
Wait.
Go ahead.
So if...
Knight takes pawn.
He goes here, here...
No. Who told you to go there?
Where? So... Oh. So if he moved... Oh, yeah. He went up here, you go here. Yeah. I was just thinking of how black could get opposition.
Right,
Anyway.
so I don't know if it's a draw. If you go here, you take the diagonal opposition. Right?
Yeah. And if he goes to c7, you still get the opposition.
Yeah, so he has to go to c8 hoping you go here. Or that you push the pawn. But I don't think that's a draw. This would be very interesting. Is this a win? For is this a win for white?
I think it is. Oh yeah, white is 61.6 points ahead.
There you go, using that good old computer. Now, a computer's really good for things like exactly what we're doing, but you see why I like you figuring it out instead, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Because it'll stick with you so much better than you guys when you just pop onto the computer and you say, hey, I'm done, look, the computer says it's a draw. Okay, and you don't even know how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Jody, you can, okay, if they allow you to do it, but in our situation we just looked at, you can't force, Jody, you cannot change the opposition with correct play here. Because with correct play, white is not going to give you the opposition. So I'd happily let you walk through it and tell me how you think you're going to get the opposition, but I don't see you getting the opposition. Looking at his opponent, I think he very much is. Early engines were bad at endgames. Okay, I don't think he's using an early engine anymore, but yeah. So yeah, I don't see how black can get the opposition here even. I think white's in good shape. White's in very good shape. Well, but this is a great example, right? And if black was one move closer, black would get a draw, a forced draw. But again, his king is pretty far away.
And could he have got? Do you think he could have got his king closer, like a in-between move where he kept his knight, waiting to take one of the pawns?
Yeah, because either pawn would win, right?
Yeah. So he moved. Yeah, and then.
And is that what he did? That isn't even what he did in the game. He went away. See, he went further away, which still should work. Still should work. This should still be a forced draw, but he has to take this pawn now. Which is interesting because we just saw if he took this one, you had the best chances to win when he was back here.
But nowadays, if he did take this one...
Go ahead, move.
Alright, so if we push this pawn forward...
Yeah.
And then he just gets there.
And then you get here. And I think this one should be a draw.
Yeah.
This should be a draw, because now he just stays in front of the pawn, right? We know the technique. Stay in front of the king. And it's a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he needed to not take a pawn and get his king in there. That would be a way to draw. And this would be a way to draw. So we've talked about endgames, right? Endgames are great, or here. So endgames are great because look, he had these many moves, right? I mean, we're not going to even count these guys. I guess we could, right?
Right.
Okay. And this one loses. And almost all the other decent moves, these three, would draw. Could draw. So this is a draw. Should still be a draw. Just take the pawn. But he didn't take the pawn. And he still keeps moving the king instead of getting into a position where he could take a pawn. And so this knight never played. Look how far away he is, and he never got closer.
Yeah. And then once...
I mean, even now, with this move, he could have tried that.
Well, instead of the knight move, if he moved...
What happens if he did this? What happens if he did that knight move? What happens if he did this knight move?
Then you would still... Wait. No, you can't push the a pawn because he gets knight to d6.
Yes, that's the plan. And if you take, he takes, and now you can't protect the pawn.
Yeah. I'm looking for a move to try to... Wait, sorry.
I like it, don't you?
Yeah.
Again, gives him the best chances, right? So I would push.
Does...
And now what do you do? Because even if you come here,
well, his king can't get to b7 or b8, so I would move the king to c5, still protecting that c6 pawn.
Okay, so wherever your king goes, His knight just goes here. And his knight just keeps doing these two squares. And it's a draw.
Yeah. So, to this point, right here, we're saying that's a draw.
Yeah, he still has a draw with the knight here is a beautiful drawing move. Probably could even go here.
Either way, yeah. Either way works.
Yeah, that's why I love endgames. Look at this. He still had a draw even here.
What about here?
He can't go to a4. Wait. Jody says he can't go to a4. Why not, Jody? What happens next? Jody says we're wrong. I love learning. So, Jody, show us. Quickly, because I got to go. Yeah, you just take the knight, and then it's... oh, okay, because now you do get back here. Yeah, Jody has a point there. Let's see. How you get there, Jody? Yeah, it's still a draw.
Still a draw.
Yeah, it's still a draw. Still a draw. Not as comfortable. Because now the white king does get closer, and you got to know to go here. But it's still a draw. Because then if you get here, it's a draw. So it's still a draw. All right, who's going to challenge? Jody, I think you said you're going to challenge ChezzWizard. He is ChezzWizard 2. ChezzWizard 2, please make it a 10 and 3 or 10 and 5, I guess. And you can make it rated if you like. He's going to talk through his game. I'm going to go set up for my 12:30 work meeting because I have to leave. I got to be done at 12:30, guys. So I got to cut. Hard stop. So get the game started, and then ChezzWizard, we can continue this on. If you show up on Friday at 8, we can go over this game that you're going to play, if you like. And if not, then I'll get with you later, and we'll still go over it, but I probably won't have time to go over it today. Lee Chess. Hey, Bad Stir. How you doing? And this is Lee Chess. I use it for teaching primarily. I like them both. They both have good points and bad points. Lee Chess I like for teaching more than I like chess.com. How do you challenge someone? There's a pair of crossed swords up at the top. You click that and you pick a person. Or you could search by going in the... What's your name on Lee Chess? Just tell me your name on Lee Chess, Jody, and we'll have ChezzWizard challenge you. No, I did not. I missed that one, King. I did not see the super bet chess count. Okay, he's D David 1414. D David 1414. All one word, of course. No underscores, no dashes. So ChezzWizard, if you want to challenge him, D David 1414.
All right. So lowercase d, David.
Yeah, I don't think it matters, but yeah, I don't think uppercase and lowercase matters. But yeah, all lowercase D David 1414. And I will follow you. What's up to you? It's your game.
Right.
It's for your benefit, so feel free to make it whatever you want since you're doing the challenge.
Alright. I'll go to tone +3.
Is that the final game? Yeah, that must be the final game. Okay. So I think I'm following you, so we'll see it. Like I said, we'll watch you and we'll let you talk. You can mute my side for Zoom so you can't hear me. Have fun. Good luck.
Okay.
Yep. And Jody, you should also mute me so that you don't hear my analysis either.
Okay, so I think I'm just going to go for my regular developing moves. Okay. And then I think theory is bishop to c5.
Well, he's in the Royal Lopez. He can do that.
I
He definitely can do that. He's in Royal Lopez territory. A lot of times you'll see the pawn push first. Bishop will go back, and then you get the knight out, and then you still move the bishop. Usually you don't worry about
I'm
the bishop
expecting
taking.
him to take
You don't worry about that.
bishop c6. Okay. And then take back, and then plan on pushing d5.
Ah, thank you for the follow, Mario. Oh no, Mark. Mark May. Mark May? Mark May. Mark May I. Mark. I'll just go with Mark. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Uh-oh, I hope this isn't what I hope it isn't. Hey, Badster! Thank you for the follow. It's not what I was worried. I did get a bot on, I got stormed with a whole bunch of false follows. And I knew it because they happened like that fast, one after the other. Very, very frustrating. I deleted them all. Got rid of them.
And right now I'm planning on, because I know he's probably going to push d5 maybe? No, he didn't. So, knight to f6.
I meant to mute.
Knight to e7.
But I think he turned off his speaker at my end. So you can't hear me, ChezzWizard? Yeah, he turned me off. Okay, so usually I like it when I can mute because I need to tell him right now that he needs to be thinking about what he's not doing, which is how does the position change after every move. That's his focus point, and he's not doing it.
And then he's going to pin with the bishop.
I asked him to unmute me on Zoom. Let's see if he gets that message.
I think it's the center control, and I don't like that. But so I can take this knight first, and then take the knight on c3 first. Sorry, I'm hearing what you said on mute.
Yes, please. So I want to remind you, and I will mute myself for you. Your opponent should definitely turn off the speakers. I just want to remind you, the one thing you're supposed to be focusing on is how does the position change after every move of your opponent? I haven't heard you articulate yet how the position changed. So this is a more direct position you're in right now, but after this, when your opponent makes a move, I want to hear you talk about, analyze how the position changed, okay?
All right.
And I'll mute myself so you don't have to. There you go. Now he can't hear me on Zoom.
I can take the pawn. If he takes back, then he gets his queen. Wait, so he takes back with the pawn. I'm going to have to move my knight. I think I have to take the knight on c3. Because if I do that, he'll take back with the pawn. I'll go knight to d5. And then he does have the pawn lined up with my king, but then I can castle, right? I'm also looking at the bishop. His bishop comes down to g5. I think before, so I take the knight on c3, the knight comes to d5, bishop to g5, and then if I push the pawn, he takes, I take back, my king side is ruined. I'll have to castle queen side. But I can move the, yeah, it's really interesting. I think I have to take this knight first. So, he'll take back. He could take my knight, but then I take back. Wait, did I just make a blunder? Wait, I took his knight. Yeah, I just made a blunder. He's gonna take my knight first. Or do that. I should probably take back with the bishop. I could take the yeah.
So the conversation in his
Knight
head should
on
be, I'm going to lose a
F3.
pawn or I'm going to lose a bishop. Which one do I want to lose?
He takes back with queen. I take the pawn.
Me, I want to keep the bishop, personally. And I'd give away this pawn and try to survive that way.
This is not fun. I think I'll just take back with the queen and then open up his king side.
Wow. Okay. He's giving up a piece. I would not. I would have protected, I would have secured my piece.
I could take the knight, he takes back with queen, or he could take back the pawn, but I think if we trade off the knight for the bishop and the queen for the queen, he's going to be guardless, end up with double pawns and an open king, which then I could try pushing the h-pawn and get in there.
Interestingly enough now, this is the third
think
game
I
we're
should,
looking at where he's going to be down a piece. He's down a minor piece a couple of times, so I think he's still missing some
I
exchanges.
should probably think about king safety before anything else. And wait.
So
I
back
if I
here?
cast the queen side, he gets bishop to f5, which I cannot accept, so I gotta go king side.
I'd say he miscounted, and I'm not sure that he's doing a good job on king safety.
So now I think I'm at a critical point in the game where I have to look for opportunities aggressively. Because right now I'm down a piece, 2 points, which is not fun. But most of the time when I'm in my games, alright, that really hurts. Because I know he wants to get his knight to g5.
Yeah, but so what?
Oh, okay. So I think I have to go, h6. Yeah. h6. But he could sack the bishop for it. No, that wouldn't be sensible. I'm trying to wait. I could still trade off the knight, and my worries could go away. No, I think I'll go h6. Because now I think that he's got the open file. But he didn't take it. And then now I can. So I think this helps me, maybe. Because I can retreat back and get another piece on the king side.
Again, how did the board
Or I
change?
could target the pawn on d5. I could, wait. I could sack it. I could, no, that won't work. That won't work. So I'll just bring the
Sack
bishop
it.
back.
Yeah, I was wondering why he took so long to decide. I mean, he had two choices where to put the bishop. He's being attacked.
Right now I'm looking for draw possibilities with checking the king over and over again. Repetitive check, I think that's called. Maybe if he does the h3, the thing is I gotta get my rook. Yeah, I gotta take the open file first. And then he might even want to trade rooks if I bring rook to e8, and then he brings his rook to e1, because then I take his knight takes back, and then we're left with an interesting position. I'm really hoping that he brings his rook to b1, because then I get bishop to f5, and that's attacking the queen and the king. The queen, I think, can. I don't think it can attack anything in greater value. I could do that right now, or, oh, I got something. So I was thinking about sacking the bishop for the h-pawn, but I'm going to do something sneaky and try to push the a-pawn to a6, and try to get my bishop to b5, and that gets the queen. That's the bishop's lined up against the queen and the rook, and if he pushes the pawn to block my bishop, I get his rook on a1. I don't think think I'm missing anything. I hope.
I'm not saying anything because I'm loving listening to him think it through.
Okay. So he saw it.
Or he didn't. He just decided to do something different.
I could trade off my rooks.
Doesn't mean he saw it, guys.
Hitting the file. But do I really want to do that? I think I'm really low on time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just going to do it.
And the other rook would have been better in my opinion, because this rook would have still had scope. While this rook has no scope.
Okay. I expected something like that. He still can't push the pawn because I take his bishop. I'm going to attack the queen.
I would have recommended this pawn instead, prophylactically stopping that. But it does lock in your bishop. But the bishop still has that square. Ooh.
And he wants to trade off queens. I could... No, I can't allow his knight in there. So I think I'll have to go here. That I'm thinking maybe... Okay, so he gets his queen to a7, attacking my pawn. It's not a big deal right now. Now, I might not even care about that pawn and try. I really want to double up these rooks.
Oh, thank you. There you guys go. Thank you. King, you're right on top of it, man. I gotta remember that. I forgot it. Thank you.
That is,
and that forces him to come back where I think it's better for him anyway.
here. Oh, watch. I'm not going to say anything, just in case. Okay, yeah, he did a good move. So I can attack. Wait. This might not be.
Gotta be careful. It's gotta be careful.
Still waiting. I think he's going to trade off rooks. But if he trades off rooks right now, then he can't get that rook. He can't take the file. I'll have the file.
And you know he should be happy with a draw. By the way.
I'm just going to go back. Maybe he'll do the same move if I can get it 3 times. That'd be awesome. But I assume he's not going to do that because right now I'm threatening bishop takes h3, which would be pretty nasty if he allowed that to happen. I assume that he's going to... Wait. I just realized something. Wow. I did not realize... I'll be honest, I did not realize that he's threatening checkmate on g7. And the only thing defending is the queen. Okay. Yeah. So... Alright, that's... I think I gotta do this. He doesn't have a light squared bishop and it keeps his knights out. So I don't think I should have very many problems. I just want to secure that. And then I can still... Wait, look at this. So if I take the pawn on h3, he takes back, I go queen... No, because the queen blocks it on h4. Interesting. Okay, now I'm going to attack maybe 2 pieces at once? I'm not quite sure. I would really love... Okay. It's not going to work out for me. I think I have to go here. You know, I could attack this. Maybe I'll just do that. I'll attack the pawn on f2 since it's weak. Even though it's defended by the queen, if I can...
So, guys, notice the one thing that I'm still not hearing from him.
Get in there.
I'm going to mute him for a second. This thing I'm still not hearing from him is he's still not looking at how the position changes. Because when this pawn was pushed and the queen got here, he should have noticed that this changed, but he didn't.
I guess I was muted for a short time.
I muted, yeah. He doesn't have to know. So, unfortunately, that pawn was not free because the queen was holding it. Otherwise, his plan looked pretty good, but it wasn't free. The candy was not free, and now his queen went from protecting his king where all the action is to where now his queen is out of the action almost altogether. And he's very low on time, and I'm very low on time. I have 9 minutes before I have to be at my meeting.
I get that pawn, don't I? I don't have time to think about it. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that can. That was not
What did I miss? What did I miss? He gave away his queen? How'd that happen? Oh my gosh, let's see.
This is why I need to study these openings so I don't get in these positions.
Yep,
Especially low on time.
and he's very low on time. Alright guys, I'm going to have to leave probably before the game is over. That's a sad state of affairs, but it's the truth. So yeah, king safety wasn't that great, but I feel like if he's missing something else, it was. I still think he's got basic checkmates, but I think he did some miscounts. I think he's still giving away free candy. But again, this is one of those times where he's actually better at some things that are making him, right, being able to play decently, like basic endgames. I'd say he's got basic endgames down. He won the endgame against Ratchet. That's how he won the game. So, very interesting. We're going to have to do more analysis, more learning. All right. All right, so you resigned?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a long time.
Yeah, and you've lost, once you've lost both rooks, it's definitely resignable. Okay, yeah, I thought you had some chances, but you definitely gave away free candy when you gave away the, here you got into free candy problems again. Okay, but I think at the beginning you got into trouble here, right? And you had to spend a lot of time. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. I'll put it in the study. My apologies. And we can get rid of the clock. And I do have to leave in 6 minutes. Okay, so you got into trouble here because you couldn't figure out what to do in the long term, right? So again, this wouldn't hurt you to learn more of the opening. I agree. I think even maybe you just take right away. Because then he has no choice.
I didn't want to get the file.
I understand, but you had problems coming, right? And now you took away the defender for the knight, the bishop. So I think you might remember that you could do this, and then if he does this or this, you can actually take with the knight because this is hanging.
Right, yeah.
Right? I think you remember that trick, opening, trick, and traps we're talking about. So your problem was, in my mind, wasn't so much the fact the pawn push, it was that this knight is protecting the bishop, so your knight can't take here.
Right.
So by removing the defender, that was good, but then he removed yours, and now you have, right, you take, depending on how you take, you're going to have two pieces under attack. Okay, no problem. Now you have, this is a very simple analysis in reality. do you want to lose the pawn or do you want to lose the bishop? And I would say you lose the pawn. Granted, this doesn't look comfortable again, but it's probably survivable.
Right.
Not comfortable.
I never thought about the bishop. Just the bishop retreating.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
I don't know why. I mean, you could, but it's hard because you have to decide what to do. Now, you could also take with the pawn and keep your bishop here, so you're blocking, maybe trying to protect yourself more. But yeah, here you end up with two pieces under attack, and unfortunately, you have two pieces under attack, and he's going to be still, like, he takes one, the other one's still under attack, and now you have the pawn is under attack. So you don't have tempos, right? You don't have tempos to take something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just me not realizing that I could go back.
Yep, and I think that's basic calculation. Basic calculation. But the part that we thought that you wanted to work on, right, wasn't checks, captures, and attacks. We thought you needed to work on specifically how does the board change every move, and we didn't look at that, right? So here, how did the board change? You should be saying to yourself, how did the board change? This square is no longer attacked by the pawn. This square is no longer available for the knight, and this pawn is now attacking these two squares, which would have led you quickly to know he's going to do this.
Yeah, and I knew that already in my mind, that's the goal.
All right.
But I already knew if I take back, I get the check. So.
Right, but then what, right? And so what did you do here? Oh, you pushed the pawn. So normally, knowing that, I think you'd be pushing this one. Because what's critical is development. Do you need your bishop developed? Probably not.
But doesn't he win? Never mind.
And if he goes here, don't you just take?
Yeah. Right.
Right, so he's probably going to block with the bishop or the knight here. Well, knight here, you still just take. So he blocks with the bishop, you could take. I don't know how you might want to take back, but now you castle and you're okay.
You don't take the free pawn?
I'll go ahead and take the free pawn. You do have to be leery of, you still have an alignment issue with the knight being pinned.
Right.
But the point is that when you got to here, you had actually back here, and rather than develop the knight so that you could castle sooner, king safety and development, you push the pawn to release the bishop to protect the pawn. I think more important was developing this knight, being aggressive.
Well, I was scared that he would take my knight and then get the pawn.
Well, you always take towards the center in that case, right? And now you're right. You don't get this nifty move, but you still get this one, right?
Yeah. Then he gets. Doesn't he get d4?
Yeah, definitely still gets d4.
I don't know how to play this. So.
Right, and the question, usually you take this way because of the queen coming here with the threat, and you win back the pawn. But maybe we even go this route this time, because then if he does d4, you back up, and you're still threatening to chase the knight away. He gets that one, but then you would get that pawn. Yeah, so yeah, a lot to look at. All right, guys. I gotta go. Gotta make sure I'm not late for my appointment. So we will continue, Giancarlo. We will consider that 1.5 lesson or half a lesson. We're not done yet. All right, Sudakis is online. You guys should go check him out. You should also go play in his I Am Not an I Am tournament.
All right, thank you. Bye.
All righty, I will see you later. Thanks for being such a good student, and we will definitely get another lesson in soon.
All right.
All right. You did great, Jody. You did great.